I really felt like slowing down today, which is not really an option when you're doing a speed run. What I'm doing is I'm trying to do the Artist's Way, which is a 12-week course in 12 days. And the reason for doing that is that I've always given up on the Artist's Way after 3.5 weeks in the past. And I just want to know what's in the rest of the book. Is this something that I would like to commit the full 3 months to one day? So I'm speed running it. I'm aware I will not get out of it everything that you're supposed to get out of it this way, but I'm getting a taste for it. And today is day 3, in my case, week 3, if you're doing it like a normal person. And there was so much writing in this chapter. I felt like this chapter took a lot longer than the other ones. It wasn't any longer actually in like number of pages, but I felt like it was bringing up a lot more thoughts than the first and second chapter did. So I'm taking notes as I'm reading and I'm kind of jotting down my own responses and thoughts. And there was a lot more of that than with chapter 1 and 2. And also there were exercises within the chapter. My understanding is that the exercises in the chapter, you have to do them. They're mandatory, so to speak. Whereas with the tasks at the end, Julia Cameron says you can pick about half of those out of 10, about 5 to do. There was a lot of writing. I wrote for about 3 hours, 4 hours maybe, kind of freehand on A4 piece of paper. I filled in so many sheets of paper, and all that to say, I'm sorry, but I don't have any pretty spreads to share with you. If you want to see those, you can go back and watch day 1 and day 2. I made some really nice looking, aesthetically pleasing collages in my notebook. Today I was fighting for my life. I was just writing nonstop, and there was all this journaling, all these prompts and so on. So that's what I did. As perhaps expected, I had a lot more resistance than I did yesterday. Yesterday I was on top of the world. I was having the best day. I was feeling so creative and happy, and today I was feeling like I didn't deserve it, which is well, in yesterday's video I was kind of joking that I was having way too much fun for a grown-up, and today actually I kind of genuinely felt like yeah, grown-ups are not supposed to have this much fun. I don't deserve, I haven't earned this amount of joy in my art because I'm not a good enough artist. One of the things that was brought up in the tasks was a childhood spot in my room that I used to like, and that brought up memories of me going under my desk in my bedroom at home growing up and decorating the under the desk area with poems and drawings and so on. And so here I go, trying to see if I can still fit under my desk, which is a lukewarm yes. I can physically fit under the desk. I'm not sure it will become a safe haven for me in the way that it was in my childhood bedroom. A little bit like with chapter 2, but even more so in this chapter perhaps. I am starting to think that perhaps this book would be better for me. I would vibe with it more easily if the author just admitted to being Christian and that the book is written from a Christian perspective, or at least from a monotheistic perspective, which I actually don't even know. I don't even know what Julia Cameron's true, personal, private beliefs are. But I just mean, I almost wish that the book was just written as an instruction book, and with the clearly stated, not bias, but, perspective that the author has certain beliefs. And so the book is written with those beliefs in mind, which is absolutely fine. Like, I am absolutely used to and happy to read things written by people of all faiths and spiritual beliefs. But I think because Julia Cameron is trying to write this to appeal to a broad audience, and she's trying to make it clear that you don't need to be spiritual to enjoy the book, she kind of tries to adapt certain things. If you don't want to use the word God here, do this instead. And I feel like those substitutions are actually the things that I don't really connect with. But on that note, something that came up today, and it's something I've thought about many times in the past, is that I do actually really resonate with some of the actions of religion and spirituality, the aesthetics. I don't know if that's disrespectful to say, but, the idea of sacredness and ritual and repetition. So something I've been thinking of for a very long time is that I would like to put together a sort of secular spiritual system, so to speak, taking some of those elements. And of course, that's not really something you can do in one day. So I just started brainstorming, but that kind of brings me to the next point. There's a lot of stuff emerging from this chapter and the previous chapters, which, when you're journaling and answering prompts and so on, stuff comes up, right? And they all feel like big revelations, or they feel like stuff that I would like to examine further. And I feel like, obviously, I'm doing it really fast, so this is not necessarily the book's fault. I feel like some of the revelations, there isn't an action connected to it. So you explore certain stuff from your childhood, or, things that you admire in people in your life, or just, dead people that you know of from fame, things that you admire in them. And you don't really have an action connected to that necessarily. There isn't, and now incorporate one of these characteristics into your life in this way. There isn't an exercise that follows up from the revelations, and perhaps this will come on later in the book. This is the whole point why I'm doing this quickly, because I don't actually know if these things will come up later. But for now, actually, the amount of stuff that I am discovering or reading about and so on, and that I am not acting on, is starting to stress me out a little bit. I'm starting to feel like, do I need to hold all this information in my brain? Should I go through my many pages of writing that I did today? Not the morning pages, but just, the regular exercises writing, and highlight things, extract notes from it, because I'm getting all these ideas and these thoughts, and then I'm not really doing anything with it. So that's what I was ruminating on as I did one of the tasks, which was to spend 1 hour engaging your artist brain and just listening to your thoughts and listening to your inner compass and wherever your brain goes as you're doing your artistic activity. And that's what I was ruminating on. All these thoughts that I have all the time, and especially right now with all this journaling, where do they go? Where should I keep them? What should I do with it? For example, Cameron mentions a paper on synchronicity by Carl Jung, and I would like to read that one day. Where should I put a note that I want to read this so I don't forget to read it one day, and I don't forget why I wanted to read this? Synchronicity is a big part of this chapter. Cameron talks about how once you start going in a certain direction, the synchronous doors start flying open for you, which I think is a lovely thought. As I was going through all my scrap bits of paper to do this artist brain collage, which, by the way, in 1 hour I didn't get to make a collage. I have an idea for one, but I just kind of started going through the bits of paper and cutting out images that appeal to me. But as I was doing that, in this stack of papers that was sitting on a shelf in my room, actually in the middle of that were the notes from the time that I tried to do the artist way back in 2019. So that was a bit of a coincidence, and it really played into the things that I've been thinking about how I'm having all these thoughts and they're not really affecting how I end up acting, because obviously in 2019 I was asking myself some of the same questions, and actually I glanced at the notes. I didn't want to properly read them because I thought that'd be a bit weird, but I glanced at some of them and I was getting some answers that were pretty similar to the ones I'm getting right now. So I had already gone through that in a normal pace as well, and obviously it hadn't really had a long-term effect on my life. So at the end of that 1 hour of listening to my inner compass, I ran downstairs and grabbed a bunch of books off my bookshelf. This is a mixture of fiction books and sort of autobiographies, more kind of self-help books, books about writing, more explicitly spiritual books. And these are books that, as I was going through them, I thought I will incorporate something from this book in my life. Some of them in quite whimsical ways because they are fiction books, but I just thought actually the magic system in this world is really fun, and I feel like some of those aspects could be aesthetically incorporated in my real human life. There are Zen stories that I read so many times growing up, and I thought, wow, to be an enlightened monk somewhere in Japan. And I thought, now that I've read this, my brain chemistry is forever altered. There's no way I will ever look at a drop of water in a pond the same way ever again. And here I am, looking at a drop of water in a puddle the same way that I've always looked at drops of water in puddles. And again, because I'm doing this in one day, I mean, even if I was doing this in a week, I don't think I could possibly read all of these books and figure out a way to incorporate lessons from each of these books into my life. But obviously, because I'm doing it in one day, even less so. But what I did do, because in another bit of synchronicity, I got recommended a video about a digital garden, which I didn't know what it was, but I just kind of put it in the background as I was washing dishes. And it was actually about note-taking. It was about Obsidian and about note-taking. So I bit the bullet. I downloaded Obsidian and I started putting some notes in Obsidian. And I say I bit the bullet because I've tried it before. I've tried Obsidian before, and I don't know. The theory of it makes so much sense, and yet somehow when I actually try to do it, it doesn't work for me. So I installed Obsidian, I created a vault, and I started putting some notes from today to ease myself into it, and I'll see how it goes. I'm sorry if this video was extra rumbly. I think it really reflects the state of my mind right now. It all feels a little bit messy, a little bit confused, but I did do the tasks for the day, but it just brought up more thoughts than it gave me answers, I guess, which is absolutely fine, I think, at this stage in the artist's way. I'll sleep on it, and I'm sure it will all make sense tomorrow morning. Hopefully. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.